Well, hello. If you've landed here, you've landed on Let's Talk News. I'm your host, Leticia Remauro, and tonight is a show that you absolutely don't want to miss. Tonight, we uncover why so many illegal migrants have been moving from their home countries to the Western world, especially America. We've been talking about this on this show, illegal migration, and the fact that all at once, so many people across the world were migrating to England and Poland and Russia. I'm sorry, France and Italy and Ireland and America, Canada. We've been talking about this for quite some time. But now, finally, it's been revealed that who has been funding this. And you better sit down because I'm talking slowly because if I don't, my aneurysm is going to explode. The people who have been funding this migration all over the world are you and me, the American taxpayer. I'm going to give you a minute to digest that while I let you listen to the IOM report on worldwide immigration. Watch.
Good afternoon, everyone. Today, IOM is releasing the World Migration Report 2026, which looks closely at how migration is shaping economies, societies, and communities around the world. The evidence is clear. When migration is well managed, it supports jobs, economic growth, stability, and social cohesion. Migrants contribute as workers, entrepreneurs, and consumers, and through the skills, innovation, and connections they bring across borders. At the same time, it is important to keep migration in perspective. Globally, only a small share of people move across borders. Today, around 3.7% of the world's population are international migrants, a proportion that has remained broadly stable at around 3% over time. Most people do not migrate, and migration remains the exception rather than the norm. The report also highlights that displacement is rising sharply. By the end of 2024, an estimated 83.4 million people were internally displaced within their own countries, the highest number ever recorded, driven by conflict, violence, and disasters. This underscores that most displacement happens within countries rather than across borders. But the report also shows that these gains are at risk. As safe and regular migration pathways narrow, migration does not stop. Instead, it shifts into more irregular and dangerous routes, increasing risks for migrants, raising costs for states, and undermining the broader benefits migration can deliver. The report underscores that migration is not a single global story. Most people never move across borders, and most displacement happens within countries. Patterns vary widely by region, and responses should be tailored to national context, evidence-based and grounded in cooperation. Our message is a practical one, ensuring safe and regular pathways, supporting skills, mobility, and strengthening regional cooperation are not abstract goals. They are concrete steps that respect national borders and priorities and help countries manage migration more effectively while delivering real benefits for economies and people alike. The World Migration Report is IOM's flagship publication and has been produced regularly for over 2 decades. It brings together the latest global data, research, and analysis to help policymakers, practitioners, and the public better understand migration trends and their impacts. At its core, the report reflects IOM's commitment to data and evidence as the foundation for informed, effective, and balanced migration policies.
Okay, so this organization, their job is to instigate migration from third world countries to better countries, I guess, to countries with a better economy. And in essence, they're playing God. They're deciding that people from Africa need to go to England. People from the Middle East need to go to California. People from El Salvador need to come to America. They're deciding this. This organization is deciding this, and we are funding them. I'm going to say hello, and first we're going to have a poll. Here's our poll. Should America withdraw from the United Nations? Hit 1 in the comments for yes, and 2 for no. And we will let you know what happens there at the end of the show. All right, let's say hello. Hi, Lucille. Good to have you. Hi, Francine. Good to have you. Hi, Karen. Thanks for joining us. Kevin Wall from the other side of the world, same side of the issues. Hello, Angela. Kevin says he nearly missed us because of the Texas story, the 10 shootings. I nearly missed us because of the air show disaster where there was a crash in Idaho. It's crazy. Hello, Andrew Dorman. Only the West fell for the melting pot crap. Yes, only the West did, says Kevin Wall. Joshua, how are you, Ralph? Ralph says the UN is about world government, not for freedom, anarchy, and revolution is their goal. Indeed, it's their goal. But now we know that the people who have been paying for them to achieve their goal has been the American people. And I just want to show you, I'm going to share the screen. Let me see if I remember how to do this. I do. This is the IOM strategic plan. Okay, so here's their website, IOM, UN Migration. Defining the moment. We have reached a defining moment in the global approach to migration, and it is time for a new IOM strategic direction and renewed energy to deliver on the promise of migration. What promise of migration? Who promised anybody migration? And I mean, where did this come from? Did I miss it? Did you miss it? Did you all see this? Migration is and has been for centuries a cornerstone of development, prosperity, and progress for many as the world faces major global transformations from climate change, demographic transition, and urbanization to digitalization. Migration can and should be part of the solution. The Global Compact for Safe, Orderly, and Regular Migration and the United Nations Secretary General's Action Agenda on internal displacement provide a roadmap through which the full potential of migration can be harnessed and displacement crises resolved, leaving no one behind. This is absolute fucking bullshit. You know why? Because nobody wants to leave their family. Nobody wants to leave their culture and lifestyle. Migration historically happened because of tragedy. And I thought the UN's goal was to stop those tragedies, was to work with member governments to stop oppressing people and to ensure that there was work in those countries, that there was jobs in those countries, that the economy in those countries could thrive, so people could thrive. I thought that the whole idea of the UN was to condemn fascism, condemn authoritarianism, condemn theocracy, condemn those who step on the rights, the human rights of humans, and to provide or expand human rights globally. Wasn't that what we signed on for when we became a part of this fucking cockamamie organization? The right to migrate? She said it herself. People don't migrate because they don't want to leave their home. But they're encouraging it. Not only are they encouraging it, they are dangling a carrot in front of people's noses and pushing people to migrate. And they've caused harm to people. Wait until I show you. Oh my God, I can't even. Okay, we already talked about that. Look up the John Birch Society as to their expose on the UN since 1958. Says Ralph Rubinick, we need to kick the UN out. We really do. China is the largest, still Ralph talking. China is the largest troop contributor among the 5 permanent UN Security Council members, with over 1,800 active personnel deployed across 8 missions, including South Sudan and Lebanon, Iran, and gasp, fake Palestine. So they're facilitating for China to have troops everywhere. The UN, says Andrew, the UN NATO doesn't mean warring within or with other. Well, listen, here's the thing. They are trying to unnaturally integrate people into areas that they don't want to be. In other words, instead of helping the people of Africa with water shortages, food shortages, education, economic problems, the fact that their government is corrupt, instead of spreading human rights worldwide, they are trying to pluck people out of their homeland so that they could work cheap and undermine the human rights of Americans and of Europeans, right? Because that's where a living wage is earned. That's where unions live and talk, and human rights exist in those countries. So they're bringing cheap labor into those countries to undermine human rights, the working structure, and to reduce the cost of making shit. Okay, so look, here's what happened under Biden. Well, actually, yeah. Let's do this first. Watch.
So what would be your, and then I have other question. Another one, for example, is this. Your leadership, Amy Pope, came when there was President Biden, and so there was a lot of hope, at least for the people that care about your work, that with the backup of United States, your agency finally had, the tools and the power to really act. Then President Trump came, and so my question is, I don't know if you can answer, maybe Amy Pope can answer, but what has been the relationship between the United States government and the leadership of your agency since the coming of a new administration? And last, well, let's have these two, and I'm taking too much time.
Thank you very much. So the aim of this report is to put migration into perspective. And you're absolutely right to point out that very often there is a gap between reality and perception around the figures. So that's why we want to publish these very clear figures. And I think the central point there is also that when people come into communities, those communities have to be prepared to support people so that migration is well managed and people feel that there is a sense of control. because everybody benefits when migration works well. To your second point, I really can only speak from the context of the World Migration Report, but one of the elements that we feel very strongly about is that we have to be able to speak from a data standpoint. So we are putting a lot of resource into the World Migration Report so that we can form policy from a factual basis.
Everybody benefits when migration works well. Really? I'd like to see where what they did between 2021 and 2024 worked well. Who did it work well for? Here's Trump's response to this report. Hold on a second. We're going to share the screen again. This is the U.S. Department of State. The United States rejects International Migration Review Forum. The United States did not participate in the International Migration Review Forum and will not support the May 8th Progress Declaration. The United States has persistently objected to the United Nations efforts to advocate and facilitate replacement immigration in the United States and across the broader West. In 2017, President Trump rejected the Global Compact on migration. The intervening years have confirmed the wisdom of that opposition. As Secretary Rubio said, opening our doors to mass migration was a grave mistake that threatens the cohesion of our societies and the future of our peoples. In recent years, Americans witnessed firsthand how mass migration laid waste to our communities, crime and chaos at the border, states of emergency in major cities, and billions of taxpayer dollars funneled towards hotels, plane tickets, cell phones, and cash cards for migrants. Much of this was driven by UN agencies and their partners, which did not just facilitate the invasion of our country, but proceeded to redistribute our own people's wealth and resources to millions of foreigners from the worst corners of the world. There was nothing, quote, safe, quote, or orderly, or, quote, regular about any of this. And the costs were borne primarily by working Americans forced to compete for scarce jobs, housing, and social services. The UN has little to say about them. President Trump is focused on the interest of Americans, not foreigners or globalist bureaucrats. The United States will not support a process that imposes overtly or by stealth guidelines, standards, or commitments that constrain the American people's sovereign, democratic right to make decisions in the best interests of our country. Our goal is not to, quote, manage migration, but to foster re-migration. I'm livid. I don't know whether you guys are feeling the same as I am, but I mean, and it gets worse. And I'm going to give you some numbers because that's what the show does, is give numbers. But nobody's reporting on this. Nobody. Not even Fox reported on this. This is burning my ass. Kevin Wall, the only benefit is more toilet paper is sold. Yeah. Yeah, so Scott Tissue and Charmin are really happy because there are more asses to wipe. But yeah, we have some problems. Should the UN pull out of, should the America pull out of the UN? Hit 1 for yes and 2 for no. Okay, let's see. This is what happened under Biden. The United Nations, primarily through agencies like the International Organization for Immigration and the UN High Commissioner for Refugees, played a supportive role in migration management during the Biden administration. This involved U.S. taxpayer-funded programs providing, get this, direct aid, information, processing, pathways, and logistical support to migrants heading to or entering the U.S., often framed as humanitarian efforts to promote, quote, safe orderly, and regular migration. Critics, including U.S. congressional reports and later Trump administration statements, described this as actively facilitating mass irregular migration. Okay, so here are the key mechanicals and programs. Let me just shut down these comments so we can read them together. Cash and material assistance to the migrants in transit. Are you ready? You better sit down. If you have a drink, you better take a drink, because you got to take a Valium on this. UN agencies, via the Regional Refugee and Migrant Response Plan, budgeted hundreds of millions for cash and voucher assistance and multi-purpose cash to migrants in Latin America. For 2024, this included, are you ready? This is just 2024, $372 million for 624,000 in transit migrants across 17 countries, often as debit cards, cash envelopes, food, shelter, and transport aid. The supported journey through the Darien Gap and toward the U.S. border. The U.S. was the largest donor to IOM and UNHCR, funneling billions with a B overall. So when we were on this program asking how come all those migrants looked freshly washed and where'd they get the cell phones, the answer was we gave them to them. We did it. We did it. It was our fucking money. Safety mobility offices. Launched in 2023, the Biden State Department, in partnership with the UNHCR and IOM, these offices in Guatemala, Costa Rica, Colombia, Ecuador allowed migrants to apply for U.S. entry, refugee status, parole, family reunification without reaching the southern border. By late 2024, over 18,000 have been processed for U.S. resettlement, with tens of thousands more referred. UNHCR spent $67.1 million and IOM spent $14.6 million in U.S. funds on this. IOM staff, mostly non-U.S. citizens, counseled applicants on alternatives if refugee claims failed. So they said, if you can't get in, we'll get around it. The reason all those people are dead and we have all these criminals and ICE is needed and those poor Americans, Renee Good and Pretty, the reason they're dead is because of IOM and the UN and this program and Joe Biden. Well, not Joe Biden, because Joe Biden wasn't there. So who was in control? Obama? Who? U.S.-funded UN efforts established centers in Central America for information, asylum, processing aid, and referrals. The U.S. supported UNHCR in building asylum capacity in countries like Guatemala and Mexico. This aligned with the Biden administration's collaborative migration management strategy and Los Angeles Declaration on Migration and Protection. Fucking California and Newsom was in on it. The guy that wants to be president. Endorsement of global framework. The Biden administration reversed Trump-era policy by endorsing the non-binding Global Compact for Safe, Orderly, and Regular Migration in 2021. We all remember that. That was in February, remember? He took office in January 20th, and before Valentine's Day, he fucking reversed that. This promoted expanded legal pathways, regularization, and international cooperation consistent with UN goals. The U.S. made commitments under the related Global Compact on refugees and participated in reviews. Do you get it? Do you ever remember once the news media asking Mayorkas about this? Do you ever remember Mayorkas or Adam Schiff or Nancy Pelosi or any of them discussing this? When we were screaming, where are all these illegal migrants coming from? Did anybody explain where our tax dollars were going and how we were the ones working with the UN to bring them in? Do any of you remember that? I sure don't. Josh is saying President Trump isn't the bad man. He's ousting the worst agenda ever devised. That's not an agenda. That agenda is to undermine America. Migration to enhance or change population growth has been done before and for centuries. But who needs it? Why do we need to change our population growth? Why would, I mean, population is global. Why does America need to bring people in illegally without being vetted? Why? Why is that necessary? And maybe it is necessary, but who has discussed it? Andrew, I mean, I'm not yelling at you, you know that. But when was it discussed? Did we have any hearings on it? Did we discuss it? We are paying for them to be here. How are they helping? How are they helping? What are they doing to improve our economy or society? Ralph, I was thrown out of college in 1977 for my essay on the United Nations. Andrew, extremely concerning and publish if possible. Definitely political beliefs alter grades. Yeah, it's okay. Here's the scale of the migration, just so that you know. Encounters at the U.S. southern border exceeded records during this period. Millions of releases, gotaways, UN programs operated alongside Biden policies like expanded parole, TPS, and reduced interior enforcement. U.S. contributions formed the bulk of IOM UNHCR budgets. These agencies worked with hundreds of NGOs, congressional oversight, House Judiciary, highlighted how this outsourced processing and aid sometimes bypassing border optics. So why didn't we hear reports on that in the newspaper? Why didn't CBS, ABC, CNN? Perspective and criticism. These were humanitarian responses addressing, quote, root causes, saving lives, expanding legal pathways, and reducing dangerous, irregular travel, smuggling. What? We had plenty of dangerous, illegal traveling and plenty of people dying and hundreds of thousands of children missing. UN statements welcomed Biden's early executive actions on refugees and regional frameworks. Critics. UN agencies and funded NGOs created migration corridors, provided maps, aid, enabling crossings, and pushed policies seen as undermining sovereignty of replacement migration. Post-2024 statements from the U.S. State Department under Trump explicitly accused UN entities of facilitating mass inflows despite public opposition. In summary, the U.S. did not control U.S. borders, but actively implemented U.S.-funded programs that assisted large-scale movement northward and provided alternatives to direct border encounters. This was enabled by Biden policy shifts, prioritizing multilateralism and humanitarian pathways. Outcomes remain debated, reduced some dangers for participants while correlating with historic encounter levels. Primary sources include congressional reports, UNRMRP documents, and the State Department records. Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, that has to be the biggest snow job of our time. Bigger than the UFOs, bigger than who killed JFK, bigger than the MLK reports, bigger than the Lincoln assassination, bigger than the COVID cover-up. The fact that American tax dollars went to the UN so that we could replace ourselves with cheaper labor, because that's what it boils down to, ladies and gentlemen. We paid to replace ourselves with cheap knockoffs. That's what it was. With cheaper labor. Our tax bill got higher and higher and higher. Rather than get rid of the dictators, the tyrants, the people who were undermining human rights of people in other countries, we, the American citizens, used our tax dollars unwittingly to bring in supposed replacement workers. And if that's not bad enough, the replacement workers never actually went to work. Instead, Americans are still working, but we all inherited 30 million people that we now feed, clothe, house, and oh, by the way, give them money to put a down payment on a house or start a business. It's all there. That's what Barack Obama, Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, and the Democrats have been doing as they have been in bed with the UN. And oh, by the way, in the scheme of the UN, we're the bottom and we're getting pounded. This one is too much for me. It's just too much for me. Josh says the UN always been very clear decolonization, the United States being the worst, often referred to as a defining achievement of this era. The 1960 UN Declaration formally demanded a speedy and unconditional end to, quote, colonialism in all its forms and manifestation. This massive shift led to the independence of numerous nations and dramatically expanded UN membership. We need to get rid of it. Every one of you need to conduct your own research. If you support this evil agenda, you are then committing suicide. It is unfucking believable. Bigger than the year 2000 computer thing, 2YK or something like that. 100%. Y2K. Y2K. It's bigger than that. It's bigger than that. We were paying to replace ourselves. It's like the Stepford Wives almost. I know I'm yelling. I know I'm angry. I'm really sorry. I really am sorry that this is too much. And I just want to note that our viewership on this show, this live, has been stomped by social media to ensure that nobody sees it. COVID-19 pandemic made a big mess for many and created different problems for many. Yeah, well, it was all went hand in hand. I'm not a conspiracy theorist. This is not a conspiracy. This is in plain sight. Thanks to Donald Trump, it's been uncovered because he won't play the game. All right, everybody. I will see you tomorrow night. Thanks for tuning in. Share this show. Share it on your, copy the link and share it on your social media if you have it, or on your YouTube if you have it. We need to get more eyeballs on this because I don't think that people have seen this. They don't know. I mean, I don't know. Did you know? And I didn't know. Josh seems to know. Ralph seems to know. But did you all know that we were paying for our own demise? I would have never sent my checks. Never. And I don't think I will now. All right. I'll see you tomorrow. Thanks for tuning in.